Een goede middag allemaal en welkom op deze nieuwe LinkedIn Live vrijdagmiddag 3:30. En het is ons eindelijk gelukt om 2 van de topsprekers uit Amerika in deze LinkedIn Live te vragen om de missie die we hebben, de online automotive, beter te maken, gestand te doen. Ik ben ontzettend blij dat ik zometeen een gesprek kan hebben live met Benstock, de grootste Honda en Acura dealer van de wereld, zowel in nieuw als in pre-owned. En daarna gaan we met mijn vriend Brian Pesch praten over marketing en Google My Business. Maar om even een sens te hebben van wie we allemaal hier hebben. Wie zijn er op dit moment allemaal in de stream? Oftewel, is bijvoorbeeld Johan daar? Is Piet daar? Wie zijn er allemaal? En zouden jezelf even kenbaar kunnen maken in de comments. En als ik dan 1 verzoek mag doen, op het moment dat je de livestream liked en daarna ook deelt, kunnen we meer mensen ervan laten genieten, als het goed is, van de content die we gaan brengen met onder andere Benstock en met Brian Pesch. Dus de vraag is, wie zijn er allemaal in de livestream? En als je wil, zeg dan even hallo, goeiedag, hoi of wat dan ook. En dan gaan we zo meteen beginnen met Brian Benstock. Brian Benstock, hondendealer in Queens, New York. Heftig uitgeschakeld door het corona-verhaal. Dat betekent dat ze dicht zijn. En dat betekent nog wel wat andere repercussies. Rocher, fijn dat je er bent. Hendrik, ook fijn dat jij er bent. Dank je wel daarvoor. En Hendrik is er ook. Hugo uiteraard. Pieter is er, dankjewel voor jouw komst. En ik hoop vol voor Rutte. Corbet is aanwezig. Leuk dat jullie er allemaal zijn. En dan ga ik mijn gasten bijhalen. Brian Benstock. Brian, so happy that you are here.
It's an honor to be with you and across the planet. And I love the use of technology for us to once again be rejoined.
Yeah, it was about 80 months ago that you were here in Holland, where you did. We did 7 presentations in 2 days.
Yes, I remember.
It was amazing, and you only saw 2 new Hondas, right? Or 100 in the museum.
In the entire time we were in Holland, that's right. You picked me up at the airport, us up at the airport. I got to shower, and then it was non-stop. But it was quite an enjoyable trip and really a special for me.
Yeah. The people in Holland are still talking about your presentation, that you were standing on the tables to let the audience see the opportunity when you mentioned what should Google do.
Yeah, well, it's there's a saying, it's amazing how long things take and then shocking how fast they happen. And isn't that true right now? That, we believed that digital retailing was something that was inevitable. We believed that it was something that we had to get out in front of. And nobody saw this coming, but I think it's going to have a profound impact on automobile dealers across the world. Now, re-looking at the viability and actually the necessity of digital retailing, both in sales and service.
Yeah, and what I mentioned in my introduction, we have here a semi-lockdown, so the dealerships are still open for sales and service. They can still sell and buy and cars, also in person. But what is the situation at your store at the moment?
Well, I think I heard in your introduction also that you mentioned Queens, and I think you said it was the headquarters, I believe. And again, my understanding of Dutch is not that great. But we are, in fact, the epicenter of the coronavirus now globally. We have the highest density of infection of any place on the planet. So it's dramatically impacted the citizens of New York State, and specifically the people in New York City, and even more specifically in Queens, New York. And that's where our stores are located, in Queens, New York. So we've been dramatically impacted by this. As far as operations are concerned, we are only open for service business, as service is considered an essential business. And for sales, those are online or on telephone sales only, with the customers accepting delivery at their house or under very specific guidelines coming to the dealership to pick up the vehicle. There's no negotiation in the dealership. There's no doing paperwork in the dealership. It's only to come in to pick up the car and to take the car home.
Yeah, and what I mentioned then is, or what I'm thinking then is that you invested a lot of money and time and energy and effort the last 2 years in making that right, without having that perspective that it should be handy now to have a digital retailing solution 100%. But if we are thinking about the same people, right? Amazon, what should Amazon do when they are in the business now? You are doing that now, but what should dealers now do? Because
I think the dealers need to quickly pivot, those that haven't already done so. You know, we saw some 3-4 years ago, 1% of our business was digital online. And then it became 2%, 3%. And I think we were up to about 8% of our business was being done online. Well, overnight, that's now 100% of our business. And, you know, I don't want to speak about the positive outcome of this epidemic, because serious people have had serious health concerns. People are dying, but there is something that's going to happen. This is a watershed moment for our industry, as not only are dealers realizing that they can retail vehicles digitally, but they must. And so I think, you know, necessity is the mother of invention. And we're going to see a lot of dealers transitioning to that. But your question was, what should dealers do? Well, dealers need to realize that some of the things that they perhaps were doing in the past won't work today. Online requires transparency. Online requires that you give the price up front in a very transparent moment. You know, we know that in the past, some business development centers would say to the customer, well, you want the best price, you have to come in. Yeah. I don't think that approach would work at all online. And, you know, all you have to do is ask yourself, how do the major retailers like Amazon or Apple or Netflix do business? And Amazon would never say, if you want the best price, you have to unlock this to get the best price. They give it to you right there on their page. And it's not necessarily the best price that you can buy that item for. It really is about the customer experience. And I think the more that we as dealers, and I'm speaking to myself here, can focus on that customer experience, the less it will be, the less emphasis will be on the price. Now, remember, price is extremely important, but the experience, making sure that customers feel safe, and not only feel safe, but they are safe, that they have a touchless delivery. We were saying for years now that the future is frictionless. And again, wow, did that become true? How important is it to have less friction in the transaction, less friction in the interaction between customers and the staff? I think it's incredibly important.
Hey, and Brian, one of the questions I'm getting now is the price of the car when you do the digital retailing 100% online, is that the same when they normally entering the dealership?
Well, it should be. You know, I mean, and for us it is. We believe that the click should match the brick. And what we mean by that is what you see when you click online should be what you would experience under normal circumstances in the dealership. And where there could be a disconnect would be when the click doesn't match the brick. So you get this price illusion online, only to find when you get to the dealership that it's sort of like rope-a-dope. You know, it's not the actual price. And I don't think that would be a good strategy for dealers. It's not the strategy that we're going to follow anyhow. And keep in mind, there are a lot of independently owned and operated dealerships. I have respect for so many of them. And there are probably a number of ways to do this. We're looking at the dealers that are leading this field, and we're looking at what we're doing, and we're saying to ourselves, every day, how do we make it a little bit better than it was yesterday? Every day, we're having operations meetings to review the transactions, and we're doing this online with Zoom, taking a look at the deliveries, what went right, and knowing what we know now, what would we do differently? What could we do to improve that experience? Paul, the dealership has always been a dealership that prides itself on the appearance of the sales staff, the professionalism of the sales staff. And it seemed kind of strange when we first started doing this recently after the outbreak of the coronavirus that some of our salespeople were coming in to deliver cars dressed in sweatpants, dressed in jeans. And I said, no. This is not who we are.
No.
The customer should receive the same level of professionalism that they would receive in the showroom when we're delivering the car. And wouldn't that make a customer more comfortable seeing somebody dressed properly? And, again, we all have a different definition of proper, but in our case, in a suit with gloves on and a mask delivering the car. I think that gives a level of comfort to the customer. And I think we have an obligation to have that level of professionalism, whether the transaction takes place in the store or online.
Yeah. But are you then in perspective also happy that Amazon did not enter the automotive space yet? Because they were a blast now if the dealerships are closed, right?
Well, Amazon certainly got way out ahead of everybody in all aspects of home delivery. Is it possible that this is going to open up an amazing amount of competitors for Amazon? Is it going to be more difficult for Amazon in a space now that's crowded? And will something like what's happened prevent Amazon from getting into the automotive retailing space? Well, I think if we provide the service well, I think if we provide the service quickly and we turn this around, that may persuade an Amazon to stay away from this business. It may not be as appetizing. But, prior to the COVID outbreak, this was certainly an appetizing industry for Amazon to consider because very few of the dealers were taking advantage of home delivery. And many dealers, in fact, were saying, that's not what our customers want. I don't believe that was true then, and it's certainly not true now. Customers want to be safe. I think we're going to see all sorts of changes with consumers. Think about rideshare. Think about Uber. And think about, I believe we're going to see a return to private ownership or private leasing, especially in sedans, because I understand that there's been a contraction of rideshare operators right now. And that contraction of rideshare operators means those that are around are seeing more customers. Now, imagine you're about to get into a rideshare vehicle. We don't know how many people were in that car that day. We don't know what steps can be or are being taken by the individual operators. And I think it would be very difficult for any company that owns a rideshare operation, whether it be Uber or Lyft, to control the thousands or millions of independent owners and operators to provide a uniform, safe ride for customers. And again, I'm not saying that the rides for Uber or rideshare are not safe. I think for the most part they are. But I think the consumers will be looking at getting into an Uber very differently than they did prior to the COVID outbreak.
Yeah, because it is also an opportunity, right? That people are not going to public transportation anymore, not to have an Uber anymore, and want a safe own car now instead of everybody's car.
Well, Paul, that's a good point. And Paul, also we've got to look at in Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, there's an expense there, and the expense right now is estimated to be $4,000 per year for people that use rideshare in a major metropolitan area. $4,000 a year. That's a $330 a month payment. And even if you're paying it $22 at a time, which is about what the rides cost, it comes out to $4,000 a year. Well, let me tell you, I can put a customer in a very nice, luxurious Honda Accord or a Honda Civic with insurance for at that price or lower. And the added benefit, of course, is you get to use the car whenever, wherever, and however you'd like. In addition to that, you may feel safer in your own vehicle than being in a rideshare vehicle. And again, today, it's not necessarily about are you safer or not. It's about the way a consumer feels. It's very objective.
Hey, and what about the after sales, the service part of your business, the the pickup and delivery service? Is it now taking off dramatically?
Well, I'm going to say the pickup and delivery for service is not taking off dramatically for us because it had already taken off dramatically before the advent of this epidemic of COVID, and we were seeing 2,500 to 3,000 customers a month use the Paragon pickup and delivery platform. and that's between the Honda and the Acura store. And we thought that was a very good investment to make at the time. I'm extremely pleased that we made the decision in 2017 to offer this to our customers, and the response has been overwhelming. Right now, Paul, as of today, the current situation is 80% of the customers, 80% who are doing service business with us after the Corona outbreak are using the pickup and delivery service offered by 80%.
Yeah.
So, and we've as a precautionary matter, we've closed the waiting rooms in both service departments.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you want to stand outside, you're better off taking advantage of this. And I don't believe we were mandated to close the waiting rooms, but I think we, out of an overabundance of caution, we did, because any place where people can congregate can potentially become an area where your staff or the customers could be exposed. So we took the furniture out of the waiting rooms, we closed them completely, and that may be a temporary inconvenience for our customers, but I think it's also it was a prudent decision that the service management team made.
Yeah, and I can imagine as the vice president, as a partner of Paragon Honda, that you're looking very closely now on the expense side of the business, right? Because sales are not coming in where it should be. But what about marketing? Are you 100% off your marketing? You close every marketing and a source, or you're still advertising in the market to get those leads and coming into the store?
Now, come on, Paul. You know me better than that. I would not.
I think you are accurate.
I would not turn off the lifeline of the organization. And in fact, Google search is done by bidding, right? And so the more people that bid, the higher the cost. Well, there are less people in the market, so we're actually buying major search terms for less money. And I have an obligation to the people that are working in the service department and to the sales teams that are home to provide them with a level of business. And I don't know what business is out there, but whatever business is out there, I want to make sure if the customers want a new automobile or a used automobile, that they have a way to reach us. In fact, Google, I'm on a global digital advisory board. Google found that 75% of the customers that were interested in buying a car will still be buying a car. That's 75%. So, while many of us are focusing on the fact that business has been reduced, I want to focus on what's there. And there's a pretty significant amount of that business there. On the expense side of it, Paul, if we are able to do a decent level of business at a greatly reduced expense, we might come out of this okay. Now, I'm going to say this, I have no expectation of profit right now. This is not something that we're doing for profit. There's I think an obligation for us to provide safe transportation for those that need it. And you'd be surprised how many nurses and EMS workers are in need of service and or replacing the car. In addition to that, there are people whose leases are terminating that really need to make a decision. Do I keep it and service it, or do I replace it? So, I think for those customers, they know how to reach us. They reach us online. And if it's something that they're comfortable with doing now, then we're providing that service for the customers. Going forward, as the governor looks to start to slowly reopen and safely reopen business, we certainly intend to be there, following the CDC guidelines and in advancing our business as it's appropriate.
I don't know if it is appropriate or not to say, but I like your governor. He's in charge of the things, seems like.
I'm hearing that from people, other friends of mine in Europe, and it's interesting to see that his reach is not only beyond the state, but beyond the country in Europe. And I think he's doing a very good job of messaging, and I think that's another thing that we can learn during the situation, is that the importance of keeping in touch with your people. All of a tremendous portion of our staff is working either from home, or they've been furloughed until such time as we can bring them back. It's still very important. It's incumbent on the businesses to communicate with that staff, because let's face it, many people are nervous. Many people don't understand what's going to happen. And to the extent that you have information, we need to share that information. So, the governor, I think, has been doing a very good job of keeping people up to speed on what efforts and measures he's been taking. Yeah, and that's important. And it's good to see also that some of the that they're working bipartisanly to come up with solutions. This is not the time for the Republicans to fight with the Democrats or vice versa. It's a time to work together. And afterwards, there'll be plenty of time to figure out what we could have done better after this.
Yeah. One of the last questions, Brian. En die luistert en je hebt nog vragen aan Brian Benstock, stel die dan in de stream, zodat ik ze nog kan vragen voordat Brian naar een andere meeting moet. Brian, we talked about it with Julian on the NEDA about the next NEDA. Hopefully it will be a normal NEDA, right? With lots of people, lots of engagement, whatever the case will be. Hopefully.
Yes.
The plan was that we are going with the Dutch delegation, about 15, 20 people, on guidance of Johan Lammers, to go to New Orleans with a stop in New York, and then visiting Paragon Honda. Is that offer still open? When it's allowed?
Paul, so long as it's allowable and so long as it's safe, you are always welcome, and your team of dealers are always welcome here. You made me feel so welcome when I was in Holland, that the museum that you took us to was just spectacular. What a spectacular museum, and Eric was what a host, what a fine gentleman. It was really memorable. So of course you're welcome anytime.
And he was from the Red Devil, right?
Yes, he was from the Red Devil, Toyota. But it's okay. I don't compete in that market. So,
So Brian, thank you very much for all you are doing for the automotive space in the whole and online automotive space, especially. We are always looking out for your content and try to share that content as well here on LinkedIn to my Dutch followers here, to spread the news and new ideas and new thoughts. Thank you for that. And
you're welcome. And Paul, you're a gentleman, and it's such a special feeling for me to have a colleague that I feel so close with that's so far away.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Have a good Friday, and obviously a good health for you and your family as well, of course.
To you and to your audience as well. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Brian. Nou, dat was hem dan. In die zin van Brian Benstock. Hij had een half uurtje voor ons. En het is zo fijn om het ook mogelijk te maken en te kunnen dat zulke dealers met ons willen communiceren. En weet je, dat maakt het ook wel ontzettend leuk om te kunnen doen. Voor zover het verhaal van de NEDA, ik heb gevraagd aan hem, was: kunnen wij volgend jaar, als we naar New Orleans gaan en het mag weer, we kunnen naar grote eventen en alles is weer hopelijk normaal, kunnen we dan ook naar Paragon Honda op bezoek? Johan Lammers, die dit soort reizen organiseert, wou dat heel graag in zijn reis inboeken. En fijn dat het nog steeds kan en mag. Dus op het moment dat je via Johan Lammers zometeen boekt, gaan we dus ook naar Paragon Honda en zien we daar de grootste Honda dealer van de wereld in actie. Nu gaan we naar Brian Pes. En Brian Pes, voor degenen die het niet weten, het is een persoonlijke vriend van mij geworden de afgelopen jaren. We gaan samen op vakantie, we doen dingen. En het is ook iemand die me elke week belt van: joh Paul, hoe gaat het? Waar sta je? Wat doe je? Wat is de omzet? Wat doe je aan sales? Wat doe je zus? Waarom zou je het niet links doen? Waarom zou je het niet rechts doen? Oftewel, ik heb ontzettend veel aan de man te danken, zowel op het persoonlijke vlak als aan de businesskant van het verhaal. Dus ik hoop ook dat jullie goede vragen hebben, want namelijk daarvoor is het ook bedoeld. Ik weet wel de vragen die ik zou moeten stellen, maar het gaat om jullie vragen, met de vragen die jullie hebben over marketing, Google My Business of allemaal van dat soort zaken. Dus ik ga nu graag naar Brian. Brian, Thank you so much that you will be able to do this for us again.
It's my pleasure, Paul.
So, first of all, how are you doing in Florida? Are you still holding your ground there instead of all the week flying and hotels and whatever the case will be?
Well, it is a different time because most months I'm traveling 2 to 3 weeks, but it's been fabulous. I've been using this time to record some new content for my online video training, also to develop some new products. So it's different, but it's been very productive.
Yeah. And if you see the problems we now have with the coronavirus, with the lockdowns, etc., the question is, what should dealers do about marketing? We heard Brian Benstock. He is saying, hey, if I'm on Google Ads and it's a bidding system and nobody is there, it is cheaper. I'm getting a lot of more for my dollar. What is your thought on that one?
Well, we're seeing that for dealers that have stayed into advertising, and Brian's correct, that we're seeing about 50% less cost per click and maybe 50% higher conversion. So there's less competition. The real sensitive thing now, as our president mentioned, that the country will start to open up in stages, is how to communicate respectfully to consumers who maybe have lost their job but still need a car. How do we market in a sensitive way that says this is an awesome time to buy? We're deferring payments for 3 or 4 months. We have 0% financing. So the strategy now, as the country gets back to work, is how to get people back into the dealership.
Yeah, and are you doing that with Google Ads, but also with portals? Of what should dealers now do, especially where are the opportunities?
So one thing in the US what we've seen is that the portals have not seen really, after that, just that initial first week, the shopping demand online has still been very, very strong. So people in quarantine or stay at home, as we call it, have been shopping for cars. We've also seen a tremendous rise from that dip in website traffic. So this is all good. I think the opportunity, of course, is Google, but probably the biggest opportunity is video marketing, because in the US, many dealers have put together digital retailing or remote retailing solutions. They've invested in technology to sanitize cars that come in for service. They're doing virtual test drives or virtual deliveries. And what they need to do is have video marketing to educate consumers that there's a new way to buy a car or a new way to get your car delivered.
Yeah, but is that also yeah, I don't want to say a stupid thing, but an idea to say to consumers, now I am cleaning the cars?
Well, great point. So my car is due for its normal service. And I had Carrie, my wife, make the appointment. And they said, listen, we have this new service. It's a type of disinfecting that hospitals and schools are using. And for a small fee, we'll do the whole car. And it creates like a germ-free barrier for 6 months, meaning that the car will have a coating or protection that wouldn't allow certain germs or viruses, to live. And of course, she said, oh, man, that's the most amazing thing. I'll buy it, And she didn't ask how much it was. That's just Carrie. But she said, oh, by the way, I also signed us up for this thing.
Yeah.
I don't think consumers have ever thought about disinfecting their car. I don't think they've ever thought about this. So here's Carrie. She's a consumer, right? She's not really in the automotive business. And she just added $100 to the service bill without even thinking, just like, boom, okay. So if these things are available, if home delivery is now available, if there are tools on the website to actually do most of the paperwork, honestly, most consumers don't know about it. It's kind of like DoorDash or Uber Eats. No one
Mhm.
really thought that they could get McDonald's delivered to their home, right? I mean, just, well, you went to McDonald's. I mean, it's fast enough. Well, now that isn't fast enough, or it's not possible. So we're going to go through, I think, a year of consumer education through marketing to actually show consumers there's a faster, easier, mostly online way to buy a car.
Yeah, and one of the questions I'm getting from Sander is when you have a new standard about 1.5 meters of distance between the salesperson and the sales. So you're not going to go physically go watch cars that much either, right? What is the best way to do that online? Are you doing that through WhatsApp video or FaceTime, or because video is more reactive and FaceTime is more active, I
Yes.
think. But what are the solutions over there?
Well, I think it varies between new cars and used cars. So let's talk about used cars. So we're seeing dealers using FaceTime or WhatsApp video to do a virtual walk around, which I think on a VDP, the vehicle detail page,
Mhm.
to have a button that says request a live walk around. Why not? I mean, if you are set up where it starts a little chat session and says, hey, I'd like to do a live walk around on this car. I want to see the inside and outside. Okay, what's your mobile number? Okay, the consumer gives it. Okay, just give us a few minutes and we'll get someone down to the showroom to do a virtual walk around. So we're seeing salespeople go and then asking the consumer, what do you want to see? Like maybe they want to see that the upholstery is clean, and maybe they want to see the trunk and the engine. So that's one way in which consumers and dealers can find a middle ground. Like, for example, Carrie has always gone to the gym, always.
Mhm.
Now she's doing virtual training sessions, with her trainer in the living room.
Yeah.
And she actually likes it. Okay. All right. So these are new changes. I think for new cars, dealers could actually create pre-recorded videos, walk-arounds
Mhm.
of different cars, have them available, and then that would give meaning if they're going to be selling a lot of a particular vehicle.
Yeah.
Having their own personal walk-arounds with their own people talking, that could help in scale. And then if someone's really interested, and of course in the US we have more vehicles on the ground than say
Mhm.
in Holland. Some cars in Holland have to be ordered. Okay. But surely the FaceTime WhatsApp video could create a virtual test drive.
Yeah, and so is the FaceTime and the WhatsApp video a better way to engage than uploading a video on YouTube or what kind of platform, and then hopefully the customer is watching?
Well, I think there's two things, right? There are some consumers that want to learn about the benefits of a car. And in a remote selling environment, for example, Brian Benstock was just on in a Honda. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a Honda Pilot. I love my Honda Pilot. Okay. So if there's 3 or 4 or 5 features that are very popular for people who like the Honda Pilot, a dealer should potentially in their YouTube library have a
Mhm.
couple videos about seating, storage, fuel efficiency, right? Have those available so that on the VDP, it could say, if you would like to learn more about this vehicle, we have a whole video series on the Honda Pilot.
Yeah.
That would be a perfect use of a YouTube channel. But many consumers educate themselves about the vehicle before they get to the dealer's website. And this is where, if the consumer wanted to see this vehicle, for example, certain brands have very little trim options. BMWs have lots of trim options, right? So maybe the consumer wants to absolutely verify that the car on the website has the specific packages installed. That's
Mhm.
where Zoom fails, and that's where a mobile phone comes in, and they can go right into the car with
Yeah.
FaceTime or WhatsApp and show the consumer.
Yeah. And about the marketing side of it and the call to action you mentioned about a virtual test drive on the VDP page, what should dealers and independents do about their Google My Business pages about the Corona thing? Do they have to make an update on that one, or a post, or what should they do on that space? Because that space we talked a lot about the last 4 or 5 months, right?
Yes.
About Google My Business, and maybe we can share the audience some new things we are going to do in the Dutch market together. But
Yes.
what should they do? What can they do?
Well, yesterday on LinkedIn, I did a post, just a very short graphic post of the new look of Google My Business for car dealers. And this was Daytona Toyota.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Florida. And their Google My Business listing had little hyperlinks, like site links, for parts, for service, for their collision shop, and their classic car department. This is the new look. That's why dealers need to have a sales Google My Business listing, a service Google My Business listing, a parts Google My Business listing, and if they have a collision center.
Mm-hmm.
That being
4
said,
different ones.
yeah, they could have 4 on just one property, 4 departments, because they have different hours, different services, different products. Obviously, the hours should be updated. There's a special feature now for COVID special hours. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, if the dealership has new processes to sell cars or service cars, they should be doing them in videos. Okay, so you can do a video post. Okay, and that post can stay up for 30 days. But also, I'm recommending products. So, for example, the Honda dealer that's near me, they could put this sterilization service as a product, which would be forever, right? It just wouldn't go away. And that could be in their product carousel under their service listing. And why is this important? Because today, if the dealer's doing remote test drives, meaning bringing the car to the consumer, if they're doing remote buying, putting tools to buy, these can all be products, permanent products in the carousel, which would be home test drive or buy online or sterilize your car. So hours, video posts explaining the new process, but then formalizing these new services or the most popular products and services in the products gallery.
And I saw on the Google My Business page also a possibility to have a button, a call to action button, where you can sell online. Is that also a feature where you see in America a big use of that button?
Well, there are a number of plans that Google has for the automotive industry. One of the things that we learned at NADA this year was soon Google will be announcing the ability to put an inventory feed of cars instead of hard coding cars. I think once the inventory feed is there, that would allow a consumer then to click a vehicle, go to the dealer's website, and if the dealer's website is merchandised with a clear call to action button to buy online, that's going to be extremely important. Another opportunity will be to schedule service natively on the Google My Business listing. Now, there are some plugins right now that do it. They just don't integrate into the most popular DMS, dealer management platforms in the US. But a dealer on their service listing could actually show prices for common maintenance and allow the consumer to schedule. So we're going to see Google My Business evolve to be a little mini mobile website, a very powerful mini mobile website. And that's why, Paul, you and I are going to be offering business owners in Holland a turnkey service to optimize their Google My Business and to market their Google My Business to help them be more successful in local search.
Yeah, so actually what we are going to do together is that we are going to provide the service to the dealers and the independents to optimize their Google My Business pages in Dutch.
Yes.
To be the best in class with all the new insights you are bringing from America to us, right?
That's right. And one of the great things that we'll be able to do is keep these listings updated monthly, right?
Yeah.
So we have some technology now that will allow us to schedule posts throughout the month to keep the activity on the Google My Business listing active. Google wants to see that. Also, strategies to help the dealers and independents get more reviews. This is very important. Most dealers have a lot of reviews on their sales listing, but very little reviews on service or parts or body shop. So we need to provide a way for that. And so dealers who are looking for a very cost-effective way to get more organic local search, especially for after sales. This new partnership, Paul, that you and I will be providing is exciting.
Yeah, it is, and but we start first on the Google My Business and then go from there. About the COVID and the marketing side of it, what is more the topic you wanted to address to the Dutch automotive space? What they have to look out for? Where are the opportunities now on the marketing side of it?
Yeah, so in the US, we've created a turnkey marketing platform for auto dealers who want to emerge from the stay-at-home order. So in each state, over the next few days or weeks, each state will make an announcement that they're open up for phase one, okay, which will be more, getting more people out. Then there'll be phase two. And then in the US, phase three is basically normal operation.
Yeah.
So we've created a turnkey marketing package for Google, Facebook, video, YouTube, direct mail, email marketing to help dealers launch. In Holland, here's my suggestion. I think every manufacturer is going to have some incentive, some new incentive, and it's going to be very confusing. So I would suggest that you start building content on your website to provide the information that your manufacturer offers. So if you are a Toyota dealer, and of course we love the Lauman Museum, so we're talking about Toyota. So if you're a Toyota dealer, I'd be creating a page of content on your website right now before anyone else on the current specials for sales post-COVID. And then I would really consider creating a clear but simple marketing message, get that out on video, and then be using YouTube retargeting, Facebook retargeting, Facebook direct. And of course, we have turnkey solutions for dealers here in the US that could easily be leveraged in Holland as well. So it really just depends if the dealers believe they want to be first to market or they want to wait. And we always love to work with dealers who want to be first and best in
First
the
market, ja. Voor degenen die meeluisteren, en er zijn er genoeg, als jullie vragen hebben, we blijven nog 5 minuten denk ik met Brian praten. Dus heb je vragen, heb je een opmerking, heb je iets wat je graag aan hem wil voorleggen, stel de vragen. Ik zie de vragen met een minuut vertraging, dus graag jullie vragen of comments in zaken marketing en Brian. Brian, about the space of the third-party websites, the portals.
Yes.
I saw today an announcement of gurus that they are going to get out of Europe and that they are going back to America. Is that something you anticipated, or is that also new for you that they don't see the value to come over here?
Well, any US company who's not done their research will be shocked that in Holland, for example, the cost to be on a third-party portal is a fraction of what dealers are charged in the US. What is always interesting is whether dealers are in Holland or in the US, there's this perception that portals charge too much.
Yeah.
But in reality, being on a portal with a high-quality audience that's shopping, and it's very engaged, really, when you look at it, the costs are very efficient. But when CarGurus is able to charge a few $1,000s a month for a dealer, and they go into Holland or into Europe, and the dealer says, I only want to pay a few $100s, right?
Oh, $100.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or 100. it's a whole, their mind explodes and they're like, wow, no, we can't make money on this.
No.
So I think that the native portals, and of course, eBay Classifieds has done a good job of scaling internationally, but not everyone can because their profit expectations is too high. And as a public company, right, they are very sensitive of return on equity.
Investment, yeah. One of the questions I'm getting from Hendrik is, on Facebook, Instagram, you can create a catalog with your stock of cars linked to your website. Now, this is also possible with WhatsApp Business, but only manually. Will this also be linked in the future, you think?
Well, it's a little difficult to know all of the changes that are going to happen for online commerce. What I do know, and I don't know too much about the WhatsApp Business, so I have to do a little research on that.
Because America is only texting.
Oh, okay. Amazon this year will be kind of really turning around automotive advertising. You see, with the Amazon Fire TV, the Fire Stick and the TVs built in with the Amazon Fire, they can get a lot of video commercials now directly natively in their platform. We call that an OTT play, over the top video. So Amazon is building a automotive team. Right now, you could retarget dealer ads on Amazon, but now they're going to be a video player. So if I'm a dealer, and I'm not sure what their footprint is over in Europe with the Amazon Prime membership and the video platform, but
they're coming.
Yeah. So car dealers are going to have another video placement strategy to be able to directly contract with like an agency like PCG or Dealer eProcess or someone to actually do video advertising on Amazon Fire TVs, which is big.
So the question about WhatsApp Business, you have to get into that space, right? Another question: do you think the current state is that OEMs are going faster to direct to the consumer instead with the dealers? I know the laws in America are prohibited that, but it's not the case here. Do you think it's going to speed up?
Well, here's what I know in the U.S. is that my brother Glenn and I just published for Nissan the first blueprint for all Nissan dealers in the United States. And that book is going to North America and around the world. That is a complete discussion on strategy, marketing, merchandising, sales process to do online sales. I know that Toyota in the US has something called Smart Path, and they're accelerating that to do online sales. In fact, national commercials for the first time are advertising for a Toyota online sales.
Okay.
In the US, I think the OEMs are going to be pushing their dealers to embrace digital retailing harder, meaning they may provide some financial incentives to compensate for the cost. They're going to be doing extra training. Our phone, as a consultant, has been on fire. Dealers who want to get into digital retailing know that it's just not the technology. And I think that's the biggest problem with OEM scale is it's not the technology. It's 50% leadership, the dealerships leaders, 15% marketing, 15% merchandising, 20% technology. So like Ford dealers in the US, a lot of them use AutoFi, and it's a great product. But if the website isn't set up properly, if the marketing isn't set up properly, it doesn't get used as much, right? So I think the OEMs need to rethink their retail strategy. They need to get more people like myself helping the dealers, not with technology. That's the easy part. Those companies do it, but how to fix the website to get more people to use the online tools, and then how to market to the local consumers that there's a new way to buy a car.
Yeah. On the nutshell, what is the last advice you want to give the Dutch dealers and independents to survive this period, right?
Yes. So every country is different, but one thing is very funny is that websites seem to copy from each other around the world. When someone's on a vehicle page, we call it a VDP, a vehicle detail page. When someone's on it, I think there only should be 2 buttons now. 2.
Yeah.
One
It's
should
not
be,
American.
what's that?
It's not American. You have all
I
the
know.
windows.
I know, I'm just controversial. The more I thought about it, there should be 2 buttons. It should be one button that's green, that's what we call a color violator, and that is the digital retailing tool that allows the consumer to apply for financing, estimate their trade-in, and get a real payment on the vehicle. And basically, I'm interested in this car, show me how much it's going to cost. The second button should be ask us any question about this car, and it goes to a live conversation. We have to stop chasing consumers. When someone's on our website and has a question, we need to talk with them. If somebody comes into the showroom and they have a question, the receptionist does not say, sit in this chair, in 2 or 3 hours, someone will get back to you. No. The dealers built a business model. If someone walked in, they were served. I want to challenge the dealers in Holland. If somebody comes to your website and it's truly supposed to be your virtual showroom, there's only 2 things that people need to do: explore the car and its affordability, or ask you a question. That's it. Yeah. You don't need 8 buttons. So restructure your business to talk to consumers instead of filling out a lead form and then chasing them, and maybe you get them. This is more modern retail.
Yeah, because what you talk about, you are getting 100 visitors on your website. Only one will ask you a question, and after they ask you a question, you are going to chase them for 30 days to get in dialogue again, instead of doing the dialogue at the moment they are actually visiting the website.
Yes, and it doesn't make sense to chase anymore, especially with the margins and the profits of car dealers under so much pressure. And I think more dealers will partner, Paul, with call centers like the ones that you operate and know about, because in scale, I think dealers are realizing the cost to have a team in the dealership to chase consumers is significantly higher than the staffing to answer the questions when they're on their website.
On the right time directly.
Be relevant, be helpful, be modern, and stop chasing.
Yeah, and on the last part then, what about emailing? Is emailing the same as a fax machine nowadays?
I don't think so for a complex transaction. In the US, there's this amazing product called AlumaQuote, which basically is a first response to a form lead, right? There are times, right, at night, if somebody, the dealer doesn't have their call center or their BDC able to chat. This is a very interesting response tool that gives the consumer basically a worksheet, an interactive worksheet to work their deal. And it's delivered via email. And then as the consumer works their deal, the dealer can see everything they do. It's almost like giving them, like, here's an iPad, go work your deal. And this has doubled, in some cases, tripled the engagement from lead forms. Why? Because the response isn't, hey, we'll call you, or here's one thing. It says, like, here's a tool for this car, play around.
Work with it.
Adjust the payments, almost like if they were in the dealership going back. And so I don't think email is dead. I think stupid emails are dead. But using email to give a consumer, or texting, a tool that they can use to configure a car, I think is awesome.
Yeah. Are they looking for a reseller in Holland as well, or not?
Well, listen, Paul, you'd have to talk to them, but I can make the introduction, of course.
Okay, of course. Hey, Brian, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for everything. What I say in Dutch that I cannot had, that we have a close relationship for the last years, and I'm looking forward for the next years, right?
Come on, let's do it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Zo, en dit was dan de andere Brian, oftewel Brian Pesch. En wat we besproken hebben is eigenlijk de normale dingen, hè, in die zin. Hè. Het zijn geen dingen waarvan je zegt, wauw, weet je wel, dat wist ik nog niet. Maar soms zijn het ook wel open deuren die we zeg maar in moeten blijven trappen, bij wijze van spreken, zeg maar, om te laten zien dat het helemaal niet zo moeilijk is of helemaal niet zo ingewikkeld zou moeten zijn. Over de Google My Business pagina, het is gewoon Google pagina 1, een stukje online onroerend goed waar je ontzettend zuinig mee moet zijn. En wat Brian en ik gaan doen is een bedrijf beginnen die daar zeg maar de optimalisatie op wil doen voor dealerbedrijven, voor ketens of wat dan ook. In die zin waar we mee zouden kunnen helpen. Op wat voor manier we dat vorm gaan gieten of met welke partners, dat moeten we allemaal nog uitzoeken. Heb je daar namelijk een idee over, dan hoor ik dat uiteraard graag. Voor degenen die gereageerd hebben, geliked hebben, gedeeld hebben, ontzettend dankjewel daarvoor. Het is gewoon heel erg simpel. De likes, de shares, de comments is de benzine, is de lucht waarop ik opteer. Dat vind ik leuk. Dan doe ik het namelijk ook niet voor niets. Ik doe het graag met alle plezier, met alle liefde, met alle passie die ik heb. Maar het is ook leuk om meer mensen te bereiken. Om te zorgen dat we samen die online automotive beter maken. Johan, dankjewel voor je comment. Jorbert ook. Bruno, dankjewel. Less is more. Inderdaad. Dennis van Lid, dankjewel voor jouw commentaar. Net zoals Rocher en Hendrik. Dank jullie wel daarvoor. Volgende week pakken we weer een nieuwe LinkedIn Live. Ik weet nog niet de topic. Heb je dus een topic? Heb je een gast? Heb je iets waarvan we zeggen dat zouden we kunnen doen of moeten doen? Laat het ons dan weten. Want dan doe ik het met alle liefde. Dankjewel. Wees gezond. Heb een geweldig fijn weekend. En tot volgende week. Dankjewel.